The rain fell in relentless sheets, pounding against the cracked pavement of the nearly empty parking lot. David adjusted his threadbare jacket collar against the biting wind, his fingers numb as they gripped the rusted handle of the squeaky grocery cart. Every few steps, the left wheel stuck, forcing him to jerk it forward, a metallic screech cutting through the drumbeat of the storm. Beside him, 6-year-old Emily hopped through puddles in her bright pink rain boots, the only splash of color in the gray afternoon. Her laughter rang out like wind chimes as she tugged at his hand. "Daddy, look. That lady's dancing in the rain." David followed her pointing finger across the street. There, parked at an awkward angle, was a sleek black Mercedes with its hazard lights blinking weakly through the downpour. A woman in a trench coat that probably cost more than David's monthly rent stood beside it, holding a designer umbrella that was losing its battle against the wind. Even from a distance, David could see the way her shoulders slumped with frustration as she stared at her phone. He checked his own cracked phone screen, the numbers burning into his vision. 2:37 p.m. His interview at the auto shop was at 3 o'clock, and it was a 20-minute walk from here. This was his third interview this month. The last two had ended with polite smiles, and, "We'll keep your resume on file." The eviction notice in his pocket grew heavier with each step. "Daddy, she looks really sad," Emily said, her tiny fingers squeezing his. "Maybe her car is sick, like Mr. Whiskers when he ate Mommy's yarn." David swallowed hard. Whiskers, their scrappy tabby, had needed a $300 surgery last year, money they'd borrowed from Emily's piggy bank of glitter-covered quarters. He opened his mouth to explain they couldn't stop when lightning flashed, illuminating the woman's face in stark relief. She wasn't just frustrated. She was terrified. With a sigh that came from the soles of his worn-out shoes, David turned the cart toward the crosswalk. "All right, kiddo, let's go be superheroes." As they approached, the woman, Claire, as they'd soon learn, looked up with red-rimmed eyes. "Roadside assistance says it'll be 2 hours, she muttered, more to herself than to them. Then, noticing Emily's curious stare, she forced a smile. "Sorry, sweetheart. Grown-up problems." David set the grocery cart's brake, the one that barely worked, and knelt beside the flat tire. The rain immediately soaked through his jeans. "I can change that for you." Claire blinked water from her lashes. "But your daughter, in this weather, takes me 15 minutes, David interrupted, already rolling up his sleeves. The tattoo on his forearm, a faded Semper Fi from his Marine days, peeked through. "Emily, can you hold the umbrella for the nice lady?" What followed was a symphony of small moments that would alter countless lives. The way Emily stood on tiptoes to shield Claire, babbling about her kindergarten's pet turtle. How David's hands, calloused from years of mechanic work, moved with practiced ease despite the freezing rain. The exact second Claire's eyes caught the address on David's job interview reminder, then flicked to the eviction notice peeking from his pocket. When the spare tire was secured, Claire pulled a crisp $100 bill from her wallet. David shook his head, rainwater dripping from his nose. "Save it for someone who, I insist," Claire said, tucking it into Emily's tiny backpack. "For ice cream, okay?" Her phone buzzed. "Oh no, my board meeting starts in. We're headed to an interview," David admitted. "Auto shop on 5th. Claire froze. Then, with the certainty of someone used to making snap million-dollar decisions, "Get in." The car smelled like leather and lavender. Emily marveled at the heated seats as David left puddles on the floor mats. Through the rain-streaked window, he watched their abandoned grocery cart get swallowed by the storm. At the auto shop, Claire handed David a business card instead of goodbye. "Call me tonight, no matter what happens in there." What happened was another rejection. "Overqualified," they said. David sat on the curb afterward, watching the rain dissolve Claire's gold-embossed card. Emily pressed against his side, her cookie-scented breath warm on his cheek. "Daddy? Maybe the ice cream money can be for Mr. Whiskers' medicine instead." 2 weeks later, when David's phone rang with Claire's number, he almost didn't answer. The voice on the other end wasn't Claire, but a perky HR assistant. "Mr. Reyes, we're thrilled to offer you the position of lead maintenance supervisor at Anderson Technologies. Starting salary is $85,000 with full family benefits." The line crackled as Claire came on. "There's more. That scholarship fund Emily mentioned? It's real." And David, her voice softened. "Your old landlord called. Your apartment's been paid through next year." Now, a month later, David stands in his new office, staring at the framed photo on his desk. Emily in her first day of school outfit, standing proudly beside the Mercedes that started it all. Outside his window, the sun breaks through the clouds as a handwritten note flutters on the bulletin board. Kindness is free, but your daughter's college fund? That's priceless.